So thank you so much for being my second guinea pig. You don't have to worry about it. It has a lens cap on it. It's not, actually, there's not going to be any video or anything like that. So you went to Chicago Art Institute. That's the official name, right?
The School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
The School, the Art Institute of Chicago? Is that what it is?
It's the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Oh,
which is way too long.
Yeah, who designed that?
Some dude in like probably like 1890s.
Yeah, you're probably right. Right, dead center in Grant Park, Chicago. I mean, I've never been to campus college, and I've definitely never been to art school. I mean, and if you're going to talk about art schools, I mean, the United States, I feel like it's one of them. I don't know if it's just because I'm from around here and I hear about it all the time, but I feel like that's one of the big ones. What do you think? What do you think is the reputation of that school?
I feel like it's very good, but like scary as well.
Yeah,
like,
you think it has a hard reputation? Like people hear about that school and say that's a hard school.
Yeah, like I think at one point they were like top 5 in the United States, but I'm not sure what year that was.
You're talking top 5 in what, the realm of art, or top 5 in? Oh, okay. So they're producing great artists, like top 5 schools. That's a hard metric to measure, the greatness of artists.
Like a school as well.
Seems like something the art school would make art about and criticize. I love that facet of art where it's like everything can be used as fodder for creation. I think that's just fucking, not only is it hilarious, and often so, but I think it just shows the genius of the study in a lot of ways. I think it's one of the best facets that art brings any culture, especially the first world ones that do use fucking everything as fodder for art. I mean, we're sort of at a really weird stage too in art. I mean, I'm sure they talk about postmodern art in the school. How prolific is something like that? Because it's something as a commoner and sort of just, floating around different art circles that I see a lot when it comes to, I don't know, they use terms like deconstructionist or I don't know, there's no arguably solid base for what is art and isn't art anymore. I guess that's sort of the mantra of postmodern art. Would you agree to that? What do you think?
Yeah, like there's definitely no like definition of what's art and what's not art. Like I recently went to the Museum of Contemporary Art a few weeks ago, and they had like I was raised on the internet like exhibition or whatever, which some things were really cool, but like other things, well, I went with my mom, so of course she was kind of like, this ain't art, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And one of them though was like
dirty comedy.
It was like an anime AMV like animation dance video, and it was this giant screen.
I've seen those.
I was like, dang, that's art. Okay. And then like you don't want to be like,
yeah,
that's not art.
Yeah, how can you tell someone that that's not art? I think that's one of the more, I mean, you can call postmodern perspectives of art stupid and silly because, I mean, they're not ground in tradition for as much as other eras of art and in mediums of forming art. But I think you're a fool if you say that they're not expressing art in some way. I think you're definitely a fool if you're that, I don't know, conceited. I think it's like a form of art elitism. Like, you look at a famous example, dirty toilet in an art exhibit. Every artist has heard about it.
Dirty toilet?
Yeah, the guy.
The Armut.
I don't know his name, but you hear about it. And it's like one of the famous examples. He fucking submitted a toilet to the art exhibit, and it was in the art exhibit. People were like, "Is this art? Like, this is just a used toilet someone found and put on display." But who can say if it is or isn't art? I mean, it has a story, doesn't it? Does it convey anything? Does it make you feel anything? This half-used broken toilet found on the street? I feel like that's a good enough story just right there that you can't discredit it as being art, even though, and a lot of people criticize it too because this guy, I mean, he didn't make the toilet, right? He just found it and submitted it.
Have you ever
But
seen...
a lot of art is being the first to do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's art. If I can, it hurts to say, and that's the thing too. Like I'm ripping on people, but I think it's art.
I mean, like, ready-made art for me is like, it's like taking something that already exists and then you just like
ready-made art. Never heard that term.
I don't know. Andy Warhol did it a lot, like with his I think it was like Brillo pad, like soap boxes. He would like stack them up in different like arrangements and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, I forgot what the actual artist's name was that did the fountain, but I just know he signed it as Armut, and people are like, it's because he chickened out.
Oh.
And I'm like,
You're saying he slapped his name on things? And
no,
like,
that wasn't his real name.
Oh, okay. I think this is one of the more interesting things about Supreme. I think the Supreme logo is an extremely interesting piece of art because they do slap it on everything, and instantly, I think it does constitute art, and I think it's art that says something extremely heavy about consumerism and capitalism and tribalism for the most part. And I mean, the people who are buying these things are thinking in a certain frame of mind, and I think it says something really important about how much in the head of someone art can really delve into, because I mean, everyone understands that putting the Supreme logo on a fucking tire iron doesn't make it valuable, but it now has value because I think as an art piece it is attributing value to something that doesn't have any value. I think that is what the Supreme logo, for the most part, I think the most people does as an art piece, and I fucking good on them. I can't hate them for doing it. Like, it's smart, it's brilliant almost, and it hurts me to say that about Supreme, kind of like the toilet. But when it comes to postmodern art, I mean, what am I supposed to say? It's art. God damn it.
I heard the logo for Supreme was not like copied, but like referenced off of this one girl's. She was like relatively famous, but it was like a photo project, and she like overlaid like words and stuff, and it's like black and white photos, and it's like a bright red and like italicized and stuff. So it was like based off of that, I'm pretty sure. What else am I gonna say?
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, not only is the Supreme logo a comment on consumerism and capitalism, but a really important element of consumerism and capitalism is fucking stealing other people's ideas and tweaking it just so far that you don't get copy infringement. Like, the great value of anything, fucking, if it can be done, it will be done. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is trying to break off a bigger crumb in this system, and I wouldn't be shocked if Supreme did that at all. I think that would be like, I think that even makes it an even better story if they fucking stole it from someone. Honestly, super interesting.
I've been like worried about starting, like, it's not like I'm groundbreaking or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to call myself that, but my sketches for me like are branches off for better ideas, but I never really take those any higher. So like, I have some really good ideas, but then if I post them just to be like, haha, here's a small joke, when I could have made it into something bigger, I'm afraid somebody else is going to make it into something bigger. So that's my concern with
especially in the viral age of today. It's hard to think about yourself building your image and building your resume and portfolio as an artist when you could roll the dice and try to hit viral. You know, it's so tempting. Like, let's say one of your doodles, let's say we took this drawing, right? And let's say we fucking blew it up. It's like 30 feet tall. And we go up, we go up on a parking garage in Chicago, and we hang it off the side of the parking garage. All of a sudden, that piece is just hit an entirely new level. And it's difficult to not look at that and just think to yourself, well, I could put some shocking work on there. I want to really send a message to the people walking by in Chicago and have this good guerrilla story about my artwork. Let's say you're inspired by Banksy or something like that. Who's the other one? Oh God.
Basquiat?
People wear, not, owned is not the word I'm looking for. Oh my God, what is it? Holy shit, people wear it all over their shirts and hats. And it started... Obey, that's right. Or inspired by Banksy or Obey. And let's say you hang off this picture off the parking garage. And you slap that in your portfolio. All of a sudden, like, it's on a whole new level in this day and age. And it's hard to just contrast doing that extreme thing to roll the dice and jump to building your portfolio as an artist, putting your piece in nice, quiet art studios and building contact. Most people don't have the endurance, the patience, and the determination to do that second option. But I feel like maybe that's just the way I am. maybe that's the why I'm thinking of it like that. Maybe I don't have the patience for that, and I would fucking go throw something at a parking garage. Honestly, I would do the first option. Well, what do you think about that? You think trying to hit viral is futile? You think it's just for people who really don't understand the craft, have the patience, or shouldn't be in art school, rather? I mean, you've been there. Or do you think that that's a legitimate way of trying to make it in the art world?
I feel like you can't just make a thing viral. You'd have to like understand and study a lot, almost as much as you would have to like understand and study a lot like art itself in order to make something viral. So like I can respect that if that actually works, but most times it won't.
I feel like someone just rip it down and whatever. Remember, it'd have to be real shocking. You got to get the journalist to call you about it. Yeah, maybe. So tell me a bit about art school. I mean, is there like an entrance? It's sort of like an entrance phase. What's the entrance phase in something like art school? Is there one?
Like a phase as in like an appearance or like obsession?
I don't know. Is there like...
Because...
I don't know. I feel like an art school would have... I mean, obviously you probably have to submit them art to get in or something, right?
Okay, yeah.
Hazing is not the word I'm looking for. But a screening of sort. I mean, if you're going to art school, it's like a trade school. I mean, you have something to prove. You have to show skill and be prolific in the craft to get in. I mean, what's that like for the Chicago Art School? Do you think it's like possible for a lot of people? Do you think it's an untouchable sort of standard by them or something?
I feel like it's, I wouldn't say easy to get in, but it is obtainable. But most people don't go for it as much because either they're not as dumb as me, who doesn't think about my future and just like, yeah, I got a scholarship, let's go for this. But like, I understand that that's not obtainable like financially for a lot of people, possibly including myself. So it's usually based upon like if the person actually goes, if it's like financially doable. You
think it's more of a financial barrier to get maybe into a high standard art school than to actually be an influential, maybe prolific artist with lots of followers? Does the school look at something like followers? Do they look into you at all?
I really don't think that they look into you that much. They mainly just look at your
wallet.
Portfolio.
Oh man, that's unfortunate.
Basically,
wallet. Yeah, it's hard to not look at colleges and sometimes and think it's a racket. You think about the book system. Here's one story I always tell. So I go to college, right? And every semester I get the new edition of a book, and this is a very common struggle obviously with any American college student, is buying books because every year they come out with a new edition, they change a few words, and your teacher tells you it's essentially the same as the last few editions. You can even own the last few editions and that'll be perfectly fine, but the syllabus in the course in the school calls for the newest editions. That's what they carry in their bookstore. And even a whole fucking another rabbit hole is just fucking online codes to get to your homework. Oh my gosh, what a fucking racket. Anyway,
So different.
So this is what I tell people, and you know, I was thinking about actually going to my student president, fucking student, not representative council, but like my student. Oh, what's the word I'm looking
President?
for? Like your government, student government. I was thinking about going to my student government. And just throwing this idea out there, even though I know it's going to just fall on deaf ears, it's never going to go anywhere, but I think someone should say it anyway. If I took the $500 plus I spend, let's say I got 6 classes, right? I'm a very devoted student, and every class my book is, I don't know, $80, we'll call it. It's like a good median. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. It's about $80. I mean, I take 6 classes, 6 times 8. If I took that money over 2 years going to college, I could buy a tablet with that money. Couldn't I? Mm-hmm. Buy that much? I don't know. Some fucking e-reader tablet. You could just get that for $150 these days. So that's already just 1 semester of books. And I'm going to have to go to school multiple semesters, right? So if I took that money and I put it into a school-sponsored tablet that had all my texts on it, I could buy that tablet one time my first year and never have to buy a new edition ever again. Because if you had a tablet, they could just update the edition. You'd buy the book one time and it would get updated. And you could so easily just sell it to other students. Fuck!
That's why they're not doing it, though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. They would lose a lot of money if I had all these books that get updated every single year on a tablet that just updates through the internet. I wouldn't have to buy a whole new book. It wouldn't have to be reprinted. The books wouldn't have to be resupplied at my college. It would all be done hands-free through the internet, and I could buy my tablet for $150, $200 my first semester, and never again would I have to buy a book. That's never gonna fucking happen. Come on. Oh.
For art school, for me at least, we didn't have to buy like any books, but the thing was none of our art supplies for our classes were covered. So
and you guys are like teachers. they never get their stuff covered either.
Yeah, so like we'd have like a...
You were talking about they don't cover your art supplies?
No, so like you'd either be like buying paper, or if you're in like your first year seminar classes, they'll give you like different medias to try like every 2 weeks or so. You'd have like a new project. So whether that'd be like embroidery or painting or like a video project or like 3D printing, you gotta buy like the filament, you gotta buy like everything, and it's gross, and you never know how much a single class is gonna cost. Like even though you're not buying that book, like it depends on like how extra you're gonna go.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to projects too, I mean, just think about the unintended costs. You want to do something that's going to get you a good grade. You want to build something that's professional, maybe big in scope, right? Because you're trying to impress your professors. You're trying to stand out. You're trying to make it through art school. You're trying to get a good grade and get your money's worth. And if you don't know the charge going into these classes, and then you're getting hit with projects that you're not familiar with, you don't know what they entail yet, you haven't learned the material, right? So you get hit with a big project at the end of the course, who knows how much money that's going to cost you, because you have no idea what the definitions are at that point. I think that's really interesting and something that, you know, as an outsider I definitely wouldn't consider going in.
Like for my print media class, I think it was for my final, I just used some scraps, or like at one point that wasn't working, so I like took my shirt off and printed onto it, and then they were like, this is not acceptable, and I was like, I don't have much more money to spend. And they're basically like, ooh, I don't know what to tell you about that. That sounds like a bad position to be in. And I'm
sure
like,
they get it.
And then they like didn't really do anything. They're like, well, that sucks. You kind of need to do something.
What my community college did this year is that they actually got rid of a lot of the books, and they just print us out the chapters now, and they just hand us the printed chapters. And honestly, though. I even have some just right over there. I have my college books. I actually appreciate them and I like them for the most part. Because I mean, I mostly take classes I give a shit about, but I like the printed stuff too because I get to write all over them, and it really helps with note taking. You have the content in your notes together in one piece, and I don't have to look at my notes, be like, oh, what was I reading when I wrote this? Or I have to write way more because I have to put it in the context of what page I was reading, what they were talking about when I'm taking my notes. Honestly, I feel like writing on the page is doing me personally a whole lot better, and I feel bad for those kids who never experienced a handed out piece of paper for homework, 'cause especially math homework. Online, I did a math course online, which, I mean, it wasn't online, it was actually in class, but our homework was all online stuff, and it's like, oh, I would much rather do this on a piece of paper, like math on a worksheet, than trying to balance my notebook in the computer. Ugh. Are there any cost? What kind of cost-saving measures do students have at a campus of that size? Because obviously, I mean, you go to school, try to not associate going to campus with the word money. You just can't be done. It is a constant nagging factor in everyone's lives at a campus. You almost can't escape it. And like those people who get like a full scholarship. Mm-hmm. You ever like look at those people and you're just like, you don't even know. Oh my gosh. Like, I remember in high school and this girl told me she was going to some 4-year and she got a full ride. And I remember just being like, holy shit, I would just cry. That's like winning the lottery.
It's weird because like I haven't heard of anybody getting a full ride at SAIC, but also like the people there are like humble but also cocky in like the weirdest ways I've ever seen like in my life. It's of course it's like mainly like ego and like appearance wise, as in like I'm higher than you, but other things which are good, like money, they won't be like, oh, I got this, but well, I mean, I guess that's not exactly true, because some people would just wear like Gucci all the time.
Yeah, I saw a lot of diverse people in housing units for Chicago Art Institute. Lots of diverse people. I mean, you've got, I don't know, art school is very flashy. It's very showy, art school. I mean, it is art. I mean, there's a lot to show. It's not like math. Like, who's showy and a math head, right? Like, I don't think those concepts don't really flow together all that well.
Yeah, it's like, who could express themselves the most? Go! Yeah. And then it's like, do that every day.
I have the coolest division symbol necklace at me. Like, no one's like that, you know? You feel like school's already so much pressure and so much to deal with. You're fucking trying to grow up, you're trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to deal with fucking money and responsibility and living on your own the first time. And then you have everyone around you at art school just showing like flashing neon lights of personality and character. What was that like living with in that kind of, I don't know, community?
Honestly, like, I feel like at points it helped me like thrive or whatever, because I thought that that's what like everybody was actually like. So like it pushed me to like do more ridiculous things. So I'm like, okay, cool. But then also like, is that realistic? Yeah. Probably not. But also
outside the context of art school.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It's like those art shows where they walk down and they're wearing cardboard boxes or something goofy like that, or a trampoline. I mean, we've all seen like funny photos, but it's, I mean, outside an art sphere, you can't actually wear that outside.
There's this one teacher who went to my school, I think it was Nick Cave. Like, he has these sound suits, like you've probably seen them.
Sound suits?
Yeah, you just, I don't know, you would just like wear them.
Takes a left step and it farts or something.
No, it's like not electronic at all. It's all more like texture based, and he's like just like dancing and bouncing around with like a ton of them. It's like almost like tribal, but like modern. It's weird. They
should. This is just a gross outblowing of what I just said, but you ever seen those DJ touchpads where they link a sound bit to every button they press? They just make a whole suite of those with like ridiculous sounds. Like
That would
you
be
stub your
great.
toe and an elephant sound goes off or something. That'd be a good art project. You should invent that.
I should if I had that
and go to
many
concerts
money.
and put like videos on the internet about it.
Or just like go through like your regular day, or like go to some
You're
event
at the
with just
the shopping mall and it plays some weird something.
like you pick up
People
like
look
a
at you.
thing of toothpaste and it's like what?
X-Files theme. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Maybe. So also tell me about, in this art school, just more about the community of living with those people, because I think it's obviously just something kind of you can understand, and I don't, because I didn't live there. I just saw it from the outside, but it did interest me. There's, the style there and the sort of outgoing showiness of it all. I don't know, where does it come from? Is it just because everyone who is, I guess that's just the kind of people art school attracts, right? You think about someone who wants to dedicate their life to making art, it's most likely that they're a colorful person. Not colorful in the sense that they're happy and joyous, but depth is a weird word. Weird word to use for it. What do you think? Am I talking about nothing here?
Like, people last resort is never art school. They're never I can't be a lawyer, let me just go to art school. So like after your entire life being like, you're gonna fail, you're gonna be a homeless person for the rest of your life, like you really got to be like into it to actually want to do it, because people are like, you're an idiot, you're never gonna get anywhere. So I feel like being there is going to
push you.
That's
what I was saying earlier. I feel like it sets a high bar being in that kind of environment.
I feel like
everyone is pushing together to reach this sort of climax of artistical excellence.
And like some pieces are like, oh my god, I tried to kill myself yesterday. Like not like me, but like,
you should tell me about like the craziest art you saw there. I bet there's some good stories there.
There's like some like seriously like really good ones, and I was like, dude, what the fuck?
How did someone think
of
this?
I cried a little bit. But some pieces I was like freshman year, I was like,
yeah,
are you sure?
yeah, I bet there's those too. I'm sure that, you're in an environment such as a Chicago art school that it's got to be so extreme, and the people who are there, it's got to be completely whack and then completely solid somewhere. And it's like, I'm sure you saw some crazy stuff. Anything else super interesting? What I saw, what was
like one of my stories from my English class. This wasn't even in one of my art classes. Like this one kid, like I am horrible with English, and like sometimes I joke like in my head like, maybe I'm illiterate, which like isn't really a cool thing to joke about if I'm not like definitely illiterate. I just struggle a lot. But he was talking about how he had to like teach his dad to read and like all this other stuff, and this was just in like a casual paper, and then some other people in like art classes would get incredibly real, and then some other pieces were just like cat memes.
Oh yeah.
The class loved it, and they're like, oh yeah, but the professors are usually really hip, but they're like, I don't think this was really successful.
Love to sit in. Do they have speech class at the Art Institute?
Speech?
Yeah, like a speech class of any sort. I would love to hear a room of 30 20-year-olds giving speeches about their perspectives of art at the Art Institute. That would be fucking incredible. Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. It would be funny and sad and mundane and extremely entertaining. I'm sure it would be everything. I'm sure you could find anything and everything in an art school.
There's like a whole Twitter page just called Things Overheard at SAIC. And it's some of the best things.
Oh man.
It's a good Twitter.
I gotta make one for my restaurant gig. Everyone's talking every single second of the day at a restaurant, right? Everyone who walks in, for the most part, no one is sitting there and, I mean, stuffing their mouth. Some people are, but for the most part, they're talking while they all do it. And man, you hear a lot of weird stuff about people's lives. I remember one particular time, there was and I don't want to get like specifics into it because I don't want to talk about work and all too much about, you know, just that environment and whatnot. But I remember one time this family came there, and I mean, it was so sad. They were mourning someone in their family that they lost, and I remember just like standing there at my post, let's say, and just having to overhear their grief. And I've seen people break up at restaurants. I've seen people on their first dates at restaurants. I've even seen people blind date and stuff at the restaurant. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. One of the weirder things, total tangent, just follow me here. Total tangent, one of the weirder things is the level of technology that I see in the restaurant business. I'll see a family come in of 4, right? And they'll sit at a 4-person table, and they'll all have their own each individual iPad, and they'll all be watching something different with headphones in, and they'll all eat. And it is so weird. Me personally, I feel like it is very, it's very different. They're not talking to each other, and it's not even that they're all watching the same thing. Not only would that be eerie, but they're all watching something different, disconnected from each other, but still eating together. It is, I don't know, it's a different day and age, I guess. I mean, I still turn my phone on airplane mode when I eat with someone and try to talk with someone. I just don't mess with that. At the art school, what level does technology play in a modern art school? Because I mean, I'm sure back in the day it was a lot more focused on analog-y things, paintbrushes, paintings, canvases, and making live music, maybe, perhaps. What's technology play? Because I mean, graphic design, I'm sure is probably stupid big at the Art Institute, right?
Graphic design isn't super big, but more of like new media and I mean like new media, which would be more of like 3D printing or rendering and like Maya and things like that. Like coding is also big there, like creative coding. I thought something that I enjoyed was my film video new media class, where I
would love to see the film stuff going on there.
I used like a camera from like the 1920s, like a video camera, a Bolex film camera.
1920s?
Yeah.
Video cameras in 1920?
And
well,
I mean,
would, like, I guess
it.
so. When you said video camera, I was thinking of like your dad's handheld with like shitty Christmas videos. That's what I was thinking of.
Nah, it was like hand cranked, and you would do it for like
you gotta
10 seconds.
You gotta cape over your head, right?
Not that bad.
Not that old. Okay, close.
But I could show you it later if you want.
That'd be cool. I'd love to see it.
It was really amazing though, like working with that. I was in the film, so I wasn't.
Were you really fast? You're like walking around really fast, and you smile all oddly fast, and then don't.
Nah, actually, it was like a little. I don't know. Yeah, but we actually didn't.
Why were those cameras so fast?
Develop.
Well, it's because they threw a bunch of pictures together, I guess.
Yeah, and also like the frame rates of like now versus then. I read something about that. Like they don't match it up, and
yeah. Huh? What do you know?
What do you know?
Learned something new every day. Was that camera wooden? Because I remember our old cameras we have at our college, this community, they're wooden. They're fucking wood.
They were like really heavy and metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like something you find at the bottom of Lake Michigan.
Just taking a dive, dig it up.
Yo, I was listening to a podcast today where they were talking about people bringing up wood from the bottom of Lake Michigan and making stuff out of it.
Huh.
And apparently it has some just weird watery quality to it when it comes out of the ocean. I don't know. Wood stuff.
Something that's like totally an art school thing is roommates being confused about their roommates' old food whether or
Oh,
not if
yeah?
it's like a study on decomposition or if it's
Oh.
just them
Yeah, I bet
being
there's tons of
lazy.
art jokes like that.
But something great that I appreciate so much about my roommate was that she was doing like a meditative like stacking art project in her film photography class. So she went into the lunchroom like at night or something, and I was with her, and she was stacking chicken tenders like how you see the meditative rocks upstream.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that so
Oh
much.
my god.
I need a photo of that.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, so good.
Oh, I'd love to come upon one of those. Have you ever seen somewhere banned that? Chicago Beach, they actually banned it. There's signs that has like a stack of rocks and a slash through it. You can't stack rocks here.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe there's. I would like to think it's because they don't want people picking up glass. But people go there just to pick up glass. I don't know. You ever seen people on that like the beach? I've never been to Chicago Beach, but I see people out there picking up, different pieces of colored glass, I assume, to make art out of it. And then 100 yards down the way, you just see kids running barefoot in the water in and out, and they're fucking wrestling in sand and shit. And you're like, oh my god. Oh, I don't know. I got angst.
In art school, there's a lot of angst, and also I was just like, I used to get up at like 3 a.m. to try to do work before school. And so I went to the lunchroom early, and there was this guy, like, just very stereotypical hipstery, and he's typing on a typewriter his essay.
Oh,
I'm like, dude, what are you...
Yo, that's awesome.
This is the most art school thing I've ever seen in my life.
I bet you saw crazy stuff there. I would love to go to Chicago Art Institute for a semester. I mean, like, hypothetically, to just see the people almost, and the environment. I mean...
It was
God, that's
amazing.
gonna be such a story.
I need to go back, honestly.
Yeah, it almost, I mean, I'm sure that's half the experience. I mean, a lot of people have the experience of going to school is going. I don't know, community college. I want to say talk about suck, but I mean, it doesn't suck, but people are there to get in and out, These are working class people. They're not trying to become, for the most part, knowledgeable professors. They're trying to learn trades, and they're trying to, pay their bills and support their family members that they've been burdened with. And, a lot of people in community obviously don't have a whole lot of money, and they're just trying to get by, and they're really trying to build a better future for themselves by any means necessary. And you got all age groups. It's like, it's like your community. It's like if high school stretched forever. It's like just like everyone from all the surrounding town going there, taking classes, and people go in to get the fuck out because they have shit to do. They have people to take care of. They have jobs that they need to work to live, because you're not living on campus in community college. Like, you're working an off-campus job to pay for that, and you're trying to balance those things. Your life is not the college, which is a huge difference between community and campus life. I mean, I'm sure artists can be full artisans at the college because that is their life now. Like, they are living artists.
Like,
Try to be an artist going to community college, like, it's gonna be a bit of a rough time. You better find time to be an artist. I don't know.
Like, in art school, it was always weird because there's always be like talks of privilege and stuff there, like, especially like economic and like racially, and like the majority of like people who like will be there are like white, and like their parents are like most likely paying for all this, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
But like, also in that you kind of learn, I don't know, it's always like a weird dichotomy, but also it's good to have those discussions.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I think it is good to have those discussions, even though they can be a bit polarizing and politically charged. I think it's important to recognize the demographic of the school is mostly upper echelon families, and I don't think that's a bad discussion to have, especially if you're trying to move the school to be more open to underprivileged people, if you're trying to push scholarships, trying to get differential art experiences, well, not art experiences, but students, like different students with different experiences. And obviously Chicago is a bed of very diverse people. And I mean, we're in the Midwest. It doesn't get more melting pot than that. Go to the West Coast or East Coast. I mean, we're in the middle of it all. And you can look in the West Coast and you can be like, that's West Coast culture. And you can look at the East Coast and think, that's East Coast culture. It's like the Midwest.
The fuck is that?
Like what even is the Midwest? It's not the South, and it's Chicago's like also barely the North. People don't say like, oh, Chicago, you're from the North. Like, people don't just like say that, as far as I know. As far as I know, I mean, Chicago's like as melting pot as the fucking world gets. Like, anyone and anyone could be in Chicago, and you have all levels of strata there. I mean, Willis Tower is the tallest building in the world for a amount of time, and we're next to these huge bodies of water. It's connected to another nation. We're in the middle of the United States, arguably the freest nation in the world. It's like, it's got everything. And I think a discussion about how you have to have a discussion about how diverse and where everyone's coming from, so then we can all fucking make sense of it and get along and continue to melt all together. I think it's important. It's also important not to run away with it, but it's important to recognize too. One of the more interesting politically charged things along that same strata, I thought, is how many exchange students from other countries are paying their way into high-class campuses in America. And some people have an issue with it, some people don't. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I think it was Harvard is blocking a certain amount of exchange students. Like, they're putting a cap, I think, on exchange students from getting into Harvard because there's too many. Like, they're not apparently educating enough native people, and some people are saying that's racially charged and that's a racist stand taken by an education institute. And if they have the ability to get into the school and they're outperforming everyone, they should get in. I mean, aren't we a nation based on merit? I see what they're saying, but then the other side is saying, well, if you're just outsourcing all of our higher education schools, you're not educating Native Americans anymore. You're educating, I mean, I guess you could use the word immigrant, but there's concern that you're not particularly giving back to the community that is, I mean, obviously paying for the college to exist in large part. And I think they're both right in their own respects, and I think they're both wrong in their own respects. But I think it's an important discussion. I don't think it's a discussion that just shouldn't happen. You know what I mean?
I think I feel you.
Big nod. Big nod.
I'm not sure where you're going with that,
yeah.
But I will agree.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about the art school? Because I mean, I saw a lot of exchange students when I was there. When you talk about privilege and who gets to go to these kinds of high status schools, do you feel like Native people are unrepresented? I mean, do you think higher education schools should put caps on transfer students that are outperforming? But I feel like that'll, I don't know, maybe just for certain places. It's so out of my comprehension.
I feel like it doesn't really matter, like, really where you're from, as long as you're getting there like equally.
Yeah, I mean, they're paying for it. They're outperforming
doing the same
people.
things.
It's hard to say no, like, you shouldn't, because too many of people who aren't attached to you, like, on a non-individual level, are already here, and like, you're too late. Like, I don't know. There's a lot about that. I just, fuck, man, that's a toughie. That's a tough one. That's all I can say about it. It's a tough one. I don't know. It's something I never have to deal with, community college, because who the fuck, other than locals, who's trying to go to my community college?
Like, also in art school, it's very like leftist, which is like good for like creating different, like, I guess, like, forms of thought than what I'm usually used to.
It's more open and accepting. Probably, and that's probably what you're getting at. Like they're more
Yeah.
I don't know, they almost want more diversity and change and challenging and deconstruction is sort of thought.
It was just like a shock for me. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad that it was so like the same like ideals.
Yeah.
But like it was just weird for me to like go back home and see like all these like homophobic stuff and being like, "Ooh, that's real."
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword too, because you feel like you can't change and be different almost from everyone. It's weird because that sort of environment, let's say a first world art school, really pushes being different and expressing yourself and being diverse, but it also stifles it in some ways, in a sense that if you're diverse in a way that doesn't fit, I mean, that can be very catastrophic for you. Well, what do you think about that? Were there I mean, I'm sure humans are going to be humans, so I'm sure there was people there who didn't fit the wide range. It's just so weird to think about.
It is weird to think about. There's always like the thing where it's like right-wing voices are being silenced on campus, and I'm like,
did you have a big group of that at the Chicago Art Institute?
no,
Was there
not at all.
Like a club, right-wingers club?
Nah.
No.
But yeah.
You want this water?
Oh yeah.
You drank all yours.
I drank all my water.
Yeah, Dylan drank all his too.
I just drink when
I gotta get double cups for my guests, I guess. This is going really well too. I hope the audio and everything turns out perfectly.
Yeah, I hope I'm not too quiet. I'm about to cough and die.
No, you're fine. Just cough right into the mic so we get it up. Yeah, and so we can share it with everyone too.
Share it with everybody. Blow out their ears. They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
What was like the strangest thing you ever experienced in like the housing community? Did you like see any like monster rooms or anything like that?
I visited one of my friend's rooms. And like, you know how it's all like white and like contemporary, each dorm?
Yeah, I remember.
It had like wall hangings like here, like the what do you call these? Like tapestries like everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And like it looked like somebody's like house that they lived in for like 40 years, not like an empty shell like the rest of them do. And I was so confused, and they were moving out, and they had so much stuff.
They probably bought them off some weird foreign antique website, and they're probably like all like claim to be haunted and have like certificates of haunt, and that person just has them like for some reason taped on the back of all the tapestries. It's like
also
it can get so abstract with art students. I mean, who really knows where those things came from?
Like with this one girl, she was walking her ferret outside.
What?
She was like
in the city?
She was
man.
She was in my dorm, like on the outside, like smoking or something. Yeah. But she had her ferret on a little harness, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm in love!" But also, like, that's her like emotional support animal. Yeah. So, like, am I supposed to play with it?
Bond over it?
Yeah.
No, you're not supposed to. From afar, you can. I mean,
I feel like there's a difference between like service animals and emotional support animals, but I don't know what's like I know like the definition difference, but I don't know like the sociable.
It's a different type of service. You're definitely not supposed to touch either of them because they're trained to not interact with people for the most part, other than their person, because that's the person who really needs the service. So if that animal gets used to people interacting with them all the time, even if the owner is totally fine with it, they probably shouldn't let them, because the animal will become used to it and will give more attention to people maybe looking for affection or something like that other than their owner. And you don't want them to neglect their owner or anything. They paid money for that animal. They need that animal. They need that animal to do its job. Damn it, you're gonna get paid. You better do your job.
Dog's gonna get that money.
So at the art school, what else can you tell me about going there? I mean, do you feel like they asked too much of you, or, I mean, how would you know if you were ready for art school or something like that? I mean, what did you see in the people who were excelling?
The people who were excelling, in my eyes at least, I knew that they were like passing the classes, but like somebody that like separated them from like a passable person, I guess, would be how well they would have like networked, or like the amount of opportunities that they have, or like gatherings that they go to, which is like really hard to do because you are a student, and when you're that young you don't really have that many resources, like especially outside of the school. But that's something that I found the most
differential? No, that's way too long.
That's a fancy word.
So it's something that
differentiates.
Differentiate? Oh shit! I shouldn't try to say big words when when I'm being recorded. But yeah, something that makes them differ from their contemporaries. Do you think? I mean, I was about to ask a stupid question. Is it easier to get through art school with like a group of artists? Did you see like a lot of cliques? I mean, what kind of cliques exist at an art school? I'm sure they're there.
There aren't
I mean, people,
like a ton
again,
of cliques.
people are gonna people.
I guess there's more of like, there's like probably like 3 or 4. It's
And they
not
always
even
got
by
paint all
like
over them.
medium that much, except for like maybe New Media was kind of like all together. Because
They're all internet dorks.
a little bit. But there would be like the grunge people, like the pastel people, like...
There's a pastel girl at my college. She wears all pastel clothes.
Is her
and
name
makeup's all
Megan?
pastel. I don't know her name, but I just went to the drive-in and I saw her there. I don't know, but yeah, it's like, she looks like she came from art school. But she's going to my community. I'm like, I bet like everyone at art school is just like this embodiment of expression. I mean...
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I bet it's wild. Tell me more about the cliques.
The cliques?
Yeah, the cliques.
It's not really based upon your medium as much as it is like...
Values? Expression?
I think
color?
it's more of like expression or like aesthetic, if that makes sense.
Mood, attitude. It's like the happy squad, and then like we want to. Yeah, everyone in this house walks with the heel of their foot, and fucking don't ask me to explain it, but yeah, it
the
happens.
Dogs are just rumbling. So one of the best parts, I guess, would be some of the homeless people there, like, not to laugh at them, but one of them did, the only words that would come out of his mouth, he would just hang out of Chipotle. He was my favorite comedic-wise.
Oh, yeah?
And all he would say is just, watch out for the haters. And I was like,
Watch out for
I will
those
do
haters.
that, sir.
Good life advice.
It's a good life advice.
It's experience advice. I mean, I'm sure he's probably dealt with a lot of haters. You just gotta learn.
Also, another good thing about the city is I saw recently on like Facebook this video about this dog that I would see all the time. Such a good boy. He would always carry his leash in his own mouth and just run down like State Street. Oh, that was the cutest. And I saw a video on him and I like started crying.
Speaking of homeless people, as someone who does street photography in Chicago, I do occasionally get photos of, you know, the commoners at the corner, let's say. And what's really sad about it is, you know, I sort of like came back to Illinois last summer, sort of for like the first full year. And, you know, I was just sort of budding into photography and whatnot. And I have a lot more experience now. It's a year later. I've been to the city a few times this year, obviously, and I see the same people. A year later, they're the same people. I actually recognize them. Me and Richard, we went skating at that skate park that's at the end of Grant Park from Ogilvy. Like, we skated from Ogilvy to there. And I saw 5 people I recognized in the city. Just, like, you would never just run into someone you knew in the city. It's, like, almost impossible. And I saw 5 people on corners that I recognized. And I was like, holy shit, nothing changed. And that was really disenfranchising. It was like, fuck, man. That sucks. That hurt. It like hurt to like recognize that as a street photographer. It was like, these people are still here. I recognize them. I have photos of these people. They're still there. Fuck.
It just like sucks, like the level of like distrust most people have for like homeless people. They're like, oh, they're just like doing drugs and like,
Yeah. Well,
like you don't really know if that's true or not either. But also like it sucks you have to like doubt somebody so much just because of their like financial situation.
They're operating when you don't have a home, and maybe you don't have a family to support you, and maybe you don't have friends to support you. You don't have money to support yourself. And every day is a matter of survival. I mean, you're operating on different rules. You're operating at different rules at that point. And of course, there's got to be apprehension. And of course, there's diamonds in the rough. And of course, there's some people that, you know, are off their rocker. I mean, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I found this fucking YouTube channel recently where all this guy did was interview homeless people in Los Angeles, and then they would tell their story about how they got to that point in their lives. And I mean, you can use the word poverty porn to express exploiting people in that kind of position for content. But I don't know, this guy was giving them a platform to really tell their story and ask them just a few guiding questions about it. And these people, I'm sure they don't have anyone to talk to. And I don't know. I thought it was good stuff. I thought it was good content, and I was glad he did it. But I'm sure there's definitely an argument for why that's not a good idea, nor should be encouraged.
Yeah, like, I'm never like sure with that, but it's mainly like if the person like making that is making a profit off of that, then I'm like, yo, that's not really good. But if it's more of to raise awareness, I'm more cool with that.
Yeah, that's like rule number one of street photography is like, don't exploit the homeless people for your photos, because you're gonna give photographers a shitty name, and it's cheap content, honestly. Like, and it's also a statement on the intent of those photos. Those photos are taken to use these people for shock value almost, right? I mean, I'm trying to think about the intent behind the word poverty, the phrase poverty porn. It exists for a reason. It's because it's, you know, it's like, it's pretty definable. And one of the only times I've ever been actually assaulted while doing street photography was because I took a photo of the homeless woman's cat once. And I got attacked. I got attacked for it, yeah. Like,
how so, like, physically?
Yeah, I got physically attacked.
Dang.
Yeah, like, she had a friend there, and he grabbed me by my shirt collar. He's like, who the fuck do you think you are? You think you're paparazzi? It's like, I mean, I didn't say anything. I just, like, put my hands up, like, dude, I'm not looking for a fight. I just let him just fucking get his anger out, and I walked off, whatever, like, no harm, no foul. I have a literal $1,000 piece of equipment around my neck. Like, I'm not trying to fucking get in a street scuttle with some person I know doesn't have as much to lose is my young self, and obviously was more violent and quick to anger than I was. I just knew that was like a battle I just wasn't going to have. And I'm obviously not the strongest, buffest dude in the world, so I don't go about conflict with my hands, okay? That's not the way I do it. So yeah, I just walked off and fucking, you know, licked my wounds is a weird word to say, but, you know, I took note, like, okay, that was a lesson learned. And yeah, interesting concept. What else about the city? I think this city talk's really interesting, because I too have never lived in the city. I mean, I've spent days there, and I've spent a hell of a lot of time there, but I've never lived in the place.
Something that I recall a lot was something that like sticks out to me, I guess, was while I was walking to class. It wasn't even like 9 a.m. yet. Somebody was like screaming at another person, being like, "Oh yeah, do you want to be shot?" And I'm like, "Oh God, dude, no!" And everybody's just like walking like really fast, not looking at them.
You know what's crazy? That road trip I took across America, I saw the craziest urban shit from city to city, because I would just walk through the cities aimlessly, just coming upon what I came upon. I didn't know about, let's call them no-go zones. In the West, because we have a winter, and I found this out later, because we have a winter, we have a lot less homeless people. And as someone from the suburbs, that's just not a facet of life that you fucking talk about, deal about. No one deals with that out here, so you just don't know these things. So in the West, they have a lot more homeless people, and they can be without homes longer, and because it's warmer there, and they don't have a winter. And I remember one time I was in Denver, and I was at this place. I don't remember what it was called. It was like something circle or like something square or some park, some federal buildings around it. And I'm seeing tons of people in the park. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to this park and take street photos. And, you know, I'll get lots of people doing interesting things. They're just living their lives. It'll be good photos, good fun, whatever. This is why I'm here. And I walk into a park. All of a sudden, I realized I was surrounded by folks without homes. And I was surrounded by people who were, let's just say, out of their minds on substance. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens. You would never see anything like that in Chicago, at least not deep in Chicago where the train stations are, not where Grant Park is, not where the museums are, not, you know, a few minutes north and a few minutes south. It's like literally this whole block was owned by shanty tents and shopping carts and blankets and people just trying to survive. And I remember standing on the street corner, and there was two men arguing, and the one guy was telling the other guy about how he's going to kill him and slaughter him. And then next to them there was someone slumped over and they were passed out, and then next to that person there was someone having a seizure on the ground, like literally foaming and having a seizure. And I was like, holy shit, I need to get out of here. I'm wearing a $1,000 necklace, I'm 20 years old, and I'm all alone, states and states away from my house. It was like a fucking slap of reality, like one of the heaviest I've ever gotten. So I turn to right, the crosswalk goes to stop, so I had to stand there. And like these people are giving in a literal physical fight, like a few feet behind me, someone's having a seizure, and then there's someone else just slumped on the ground. I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, my camera, I have my camera, like, I'm just like, I need to get out of here, because, like, I don't want anything to happen to my camera. If something happens to my camera, I'd have to go back home, or I'd have to buy a new camera on the road. Like, I just could not have that happen. So, I start walking away, and I'm walking under these trees, and there's this huddle of folks under the trees, and one of them stands up real slow, and just looks at me right in the eyes, and his eyes are huge, like I don't know, like if I flexed my eyes to be huge, right? He's just looking at me like that, and he just watches me walk by. I'm like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden, someone else gets up down the sidewalk and starts walking towards me, so I change my direction again. I turn right, I get down the road. There's a lady down there, and she's bawling, just bawling like she watched her son die. She is just destroyed, and she's on her phone, and she's telling someone, like, I'll kill you, I can't believe you did this to me, I'll kill you. And she's, oh man, it's really hard to allay like that much like insane trauma in such a short time. I like had no idea how I found myself in this situation. And yeah, I mean, living in the city, it's a lot different than the burbs, because the burbs, you just can't sustain an environment like that, but cities can. And I think if anything can be drawn from both of our stories, it's that, you know, the city's its own environment. It's definitely its own environment, and it was a lot to come to realization. A good realization to come to, you know, like, fuck, man, I don't look at cities the same after that. I'm like, I don't know.
There'd always be, like, I can never tell. It was almost like a game, but it wasn't funny. It was just like, is this it or is this it? It would be,
Yeah.
It would be like, is this person wearing a Bluetooth, or are they legit pissed off and like gonna kill me? Or anybody just near?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people live in the city, and then there's so many people going to the art institutes and the schools, and there's such a, disparaging isn't the right word, inequity between those two classes of people. The ones who can pay for all the schools that line the edge of Grant Park, right? You know all the schools right there. And in it, and then you go few blocks down and there's people just trying to pay for their apartments, and they're just working restaurant jobs and things like that. It's like such a shift in level over a few streets.
Yeah.
It's really incredible from someone who just comes from a suburban house. I can't even tell you my neighbors' names. Like, I might see someone walk down the street every now and then. I said kids on their bikes, but like, you're just not exposed to that many people ever at that amount of time. That must have been, just as a culture shock, insane. That must have just been nuts.
It's like
from here to there.
It's like ridiculous, like how empty the streets get if it's like a weekday and it's like past like dark by a lot. Like there'll be like 150 people in a block, and then there'll be like 2, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I've been there. And it feels weird when you're carrying a camera, always. I remember from my photography class, I had a film camera, and I had my digital camera, because like, I'm not going to walk the streets and not like get photos of my digital camera to upload and to keep for myself. So I was walking through the streets with 2 DSLR cameras, one on each shoulder. And man, when you'd hit a street that had no people, and you had about $2,000 of neck bling technology that could be just sold all in one package, fuck yeah, I was scared. Fuck yeah, I was fucking scared. Like, it's like being caught loaded. Like, holy shit. It's scary too. I tell people this who don't really understand the threat of street photography, is when you're walking around with a piece of technology that comes all in one piece, it's hooked onto you by one strap and almost guaranteed to be $800 plus, and that can stretch to thousands of dollars. Why would you steal a purse when you can steal a DSLR camera? Like, you're going to steal that purse and you're going to sell each and every individual item. You might get away with nothing, even. Why would you do that when you can steal a DSLR camera? You're going to get guaranteed pretty much $800 plus, and you can sell it all at once. There's no reason to steal a purse if you see someone with a camera bag.
True, there's just
you steal the fuck out of that bag.
Traceable, like,
yeah, that too. I mean, you try to
like, you could,
pawn
like,
someone's cell phone off. Cameras, they don't have your names on them. You kidding me?
They don't have like
anyone
GPS,
could pick that thing up. No passwords, nothing. You don't have to jailbreak them, nothing. They're not. Oh man, it's just too easy. It's too easy. It's dangerous and it's scary. And as a street photographer, it's something I'm always battling with as an artist too. Like, can't make my art though. Damn, yeah, it's always a battle. I told you to get hot in here. This computer is like just a block of heat, trying to melt it off itself, you know? All the fans blowing it out. What did you find was the more interesting aspect of going to art school when it comes to like making the art? I mean, you could talk about how the school pushed you to make art in ways you never would have unless you went to the school, or you could talk about your favorite medium.
A lot of it was a lot more resources. Like, I would never have access to a 3D printer at my house, or I could never rent this camera for free. That's like so much more expensive and better than my camera. Or also, like, the ideas that they proposed in critiques were, of course, something that I wouldn't have thought of, otherwise I'd do it. But like usually when they'd ask you to like push this thing further or like research this person or this artist, it would always be different, and I would like pretty much benefit from it every single time.
Yeah, sometimes I think about that too. I mean, when it comes to research and learning, I'm very interested in social studies and history and storytelling. And when I take a history class and they're teaching me a bunch of history, it's really hard not to think to yourself, I could have just looked this all up and learned it myself. Why did I pay for this?
I think
But you get the teachers, you get the storytelling element that a lot of social studies teachers carry, where they can tell a really fucking damn good story because that's all they study, honestly. And when you get it in that package and they put it in frames of thought that you need someone else to ask of you, because you most likely wouldn't think of it yourself. They ask you college level questions, and I'm sure in interpretive ideas about the content, and I'm sure, you know, if you put all that stuff to the internet or documentaries, because you'd be like, well, fuck it, I'll learn about World War I through a documentary. I don't need a class to teach me about it. That documentary is built to entertain you and built to tell the most entertaining and key points of the war. It's not going to give you, for the most part, as, you know, a consumer-producer relationship, what this class, as an academic class, is going to give you. It's actually a really different. And I'm sure it goes that way for art, because you'd be like, why would I go to art school to make graphic design if I can already do graphic design? A lot of people can. A lot of people start just fucking around doing graphic design and then get really passionate about it and decide, well, I'll go to art school and do graphic design and make money and take contracts. But it's the environment and it's the academic push of the school, I'm sure, that makes it worth it and really pushes them to that next level of understanding the content that they're dealing with. What do you think about it? Did you feel that in school?
I definitely felt like I was getting a lot out of it, but also something that I like both loved and hated a lot about the school was that there's only 3 majors, so you can basically like fuck around with whatever you want.
Yeah.
So like you're learning all these different things, so many different mediums. I was taking a like 3D rendering class and a fibers class at the same time, but like unless if you have the goal to master something, you're really a master of nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's what I figured out by trying to look for a job now.
Yeah, you thought the content was too jack of all trades and not concise enough?
Yeah, but it's also like really up to you and what classes you choose, and I'm still like undecided on where I want to go.
So would it be fair to say that you wouldn't recommend someone to go to art school if they didn't know exactly what medium they wanted to become a professional in? Because some people go to campus and, I'll figure it out, take classes and see what you like. You think the stakes are too high to do that at something like Chicago Art Institute?
I mean, honestly, that's what I did, and I'm kind of trying, because I did that for like my first 2 years, because I don't really like guide you in doing it. It's just about like what credits did you take, like this fulfills that credit, and I'm just trying to figure out what I want my profession to be without going to like graduate school. So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Damn, I mean, as an artist, I think I saw posters when I was in Chicago, and it was some art school that was at this, like, next to this church, and they had this huge bell. Don't ask me what part of the city it was. I was just wandering around. I don't remember. It was a bit out there, though. And I think it said, like, putting art to work or something like that. It was a statement about art actually can make you money in a job. I mean, how viable do students believe that at art school? I mean, because you think about steady careers. Here's another interesting facet. Big tangent. Really, really important, though. There's this quote I know, and it goes, wages make you a living. Profit makes you a fortune. You think people at the art school are looking for profit and not wages? And it's probably a mistake to look for wages, don't you think? trying to look for profit. And I don't know, if you're looking for profit, I feel like you have to start a business. You think the Art Institute is secretly a business school?
There are like marketing classes and things like that. I haven't taken those yet, but like there's two schools with like the very similar name. One is the chain, like the Art Institute of Chicago, and then there's the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Oh, that's not confusing.
Yeah, so like, so the first one, the chain one, is more about like, this is how you get a job, this is how you like push this. And then the other one is just like, hey, you have a lot of money, but also here's like a shit ton of resources. We're gonna feed you a shit ton of ideas.
Yeah.
Come up with something good. You better do it right now.
No pressure.
So
Maybe. So maybe the answer is maybe, or like half. It's a half truth.
about like
A question well put is half the truth. I've heard that said before too. Think so? Think there's any truth to that?
half the truth, I guess.
Yeah, half true. Yeah, man. I mean, as an artist, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get self-funded. You're going to start a line, right? Like a line of clothes or a brand name. Think of Supreme, Obey, something like that. Or you're gonna get like self-funded. Maybe you do something viral and people recognize you. You start following, and they fund you directly to do more public things. Maybe, let's say, you could become an art curator. You know, people pay you to collect the art for them. A lot of people go that route because they just appreciate it. You know, they like to look at it. They like to have it all. And what else is there? I mean, you got the graphic design, you have the tech field. That's like totally different. There's like, I feel like there's jobs galore over there. But when it comes to traditional art forms,
It's mainly just like making a name for yourself.
you think digital's got the edge on everyone else? Painters? That's painting's kind of a dead art when you really think about it. It hurts to say, but writing's almost a dead art too.
I feel like
don't write
technology has definitely helped like awareness for artists because you could put it into the web and
That's
then
true.
there's chances for people to see it instead of like
It opened the get in on the party gates. I mean, the internet is obviously accessible to anyone and everyone. You don't have to go to art school to put your art on the internet. And if it's so awesome, it's gaining eyes and minds. I mean, you shouldn't need a school.
For me, it was like always being like not motivated enough or like not being motivated enough while I'm outside of school. Like I don't have people being like, you gotta do this by this date. I'm like, maybe I'll look that up. That seems interesting. And then I'll forget about it.
You have enough people pushing you to, I don't know, excel. I don't know, man. When I think about the old art schools and the new art schools, is that fair to even say old art school and new art school? Like when it comes to digital arts and traditional sort of, let's call it analog arts, sculpting, painting, is 3D printing that's digital. That's digital art.
It's like a physical form, but like digital.
It's like mass production art. It's like art through mass production. What?
There's
Henry
like
Ford was just like, I guess, a misunderstood artist, just way ahead of his time. No one knew it. Go figure. I don't know. And then photography. I mean, luckily for me, photography has moved from analog to digital. It's evolved. Do people go to art school for writing?
that was one of the three.
Really? What
majors.
are the three? I should
I
have
could
asked
look
that.
it up.
Yeah?
One was
Sure, go
like,
ahead.
I don't know, let's see. Well, I'm just looking online, and according to this, the graduation rate is 60%, which is like almost half the people drop out of there.
Yeah, shit. That's like military training right there.
And then,
Half the people drop out. Fuck.
then like the average cost before financial aid is $61,000
Whoo!
and then after is
$1,000.
40. But I think what are the majors? I know there's like fine and studio arts, which is like the main one. There's also
Fine and studio. So we got writing, fine and studio arts, and what, digital?
I think no, the fine studio arts is the digital as well.
Huh.
I think the other one was like criticism of writing or art.
Oh, like journalism, in a sense. That sounds like writing.
But another thing
Criticism
is
sounds
like
writing.
all the people that
I went to school for art evaluation. Talk about fat-headed. This is probably the most fat-headed group of people you ever meet. Oh my god, I would hate to walk in there.
oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I've told you this, but on like my third day of like school at SAIC, we had to watch this video in class. He's just like throwing out artists, all these different people, and then he goes to like Uwu Web or whatever, which is like a thing for performance art. It's like a database. And he shows us this video. It's about a half an hour long of this guy rubbing ketchup on his penis.
Oh wow!
So
class?
In class, it was about a half hour long.
Half an hour?
We were like all looking at each other like casually, like, "Yo, is this art? Is this art?" Like we're both like,
it's performance art, huh?
It's like, if I don't think that this is art, am I an artist?
You are what you eat. What is the statement made by
I'd have
Penis
to look
Condiment Man?
Penis Condiment.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up. But the professor was like, it's not sexual at all.
That sounds like the guy who did it with the chicken sandwich. Do you remember that meme? Like,
I don't.
Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't know, it was viral. Some guy uploaded a video to the internet of him having sex with a chicken sandwich or some shit, and fucking everyone was talking about it. Stupid. Is this art? I love
content.
that. Like, I say that to people too. Because, I mean, some people just know, like, colloquially that I'm a photographer and I call myself an artist. I love looking at dumb stuff and just being like, is this art? Fucking always makes me laugh.
Like, there's this one picture that I, like, love so much. It's this one person, like, just naked in a airplane bathroom.
Oh,
and
yeah?
she has
I think I've seen that one.
a toilet seat cover, and it's, like, over her boobs.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I don't want to say this, but this is some really good art.
That's fashion. It's the future of flight attendant attire, I guess.
It's a toilet seat cover.
I love one of my favorite, and this is just like stupid meme art, but one of my favorite meme art, let's call it scene, is no context photos, where it's something shockingly absurd with no context. So you usually look at it and you ask yourself, why would someone make this? Why would someone set this up? Or what events led to this photo? And it'll be like someone in like laying on their kitchen floor covered like in some fucking absurd amounts of like food, or it'll be like a cat in like sitting in a bowl of cereal, or it'll be like one of my favorite ones is that an iron that you would use to iron clothes, but instead they have like fucking stacks of meat on their iron board, and they're just fucking ironing the meat with the iron. It's like the dumbest, most ridiculous shit, but there's just no context to the photos. They're just stupid, inane photos. You're like, why would someone do this? And they're fucking dumb.
I follow a page.
I love them. I love looking at them.
On Facebook, and it's called Things Full of Beans That Shouldn't Be Full of Beans.
That would be a good one. Like,
and it has like Crocs.
Like if someone filled this computer terminal tower up with beans, that would be a no context photo. Like who the fuck would do that? I love looking at them though, because they are just so, it pushes you to think about photography and art and comedy, and it's like, again, deconstruction. It's very postmodern art form because it's extremely non-traditional and it doesn't relay any particular message other than chaos and absurdity, and I love it. I think it's so fucking interesting.
I think it's incredible. It's all about the story.
The other dumb ones I've seen, they'll have like a dog like with its face through a sock. That one's common. What are these? Alright, so I'm looking at Oh, okay, so this is the Beans channel. Oh my god, they got an N64 fucking controller filled with beans. These are perfect. Oh, this guy. Alright, so this guy is wearing a motorcycle helmet with beans in his goggles. That is the exact type of photo I'm talking about. Where there's no context, there's nothing relayed, there is no value, they're not saying anything but chaos and absurdity, and the photo exists just to be shocking and stupid. I fucking love those photos.
My favorite one is a crock that's like filled to the brim with beans, and then out of each single crock hole, they like strategically placed like a single bean coming out.
Oh my lord. Oh man, that's rough. Oh, a lot of times too, they'll have crowds of people, and by crowds I just mean 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll all be in on doing some dumb shit, and they'll all be wearing like ridiculous, absurd things like leotards or mascot helmets that are half falling apart or filled with cheese. I don't know, something stupid, and they'll all be doing some crazy whatever together in the photos. I wish I had examples to slide over to you, but I really don't.
I wish I had my laptop with me, because I go on like GeoCities a lot.
Oh yeah?
You know what that is?
No, but sometimes I go on Snapchat, the world, and I like go click on like Iran and Pakistan, and I just like see like how weirdly different that world is in their culture, and I think it's super interesting.
It's not like that,
Tokyo too,
but that's fun to do as well.
Yeah.
It's basically like a web hosting service that got shut down in like 2009. Mm-hmm. So it has like anybody could do it. So they'd have all these different fan pages and all these different like GIFs and stuff. It's like internet archaeology, where you just like go through all these links and like half of them are dead. But when you do find things, it is brilliant. I wish I brought my laptop. GeoCities, yeah.
I remember we had this one artist at the college who came and spoke to us, and what he did was he would steal data being streamed to cell towers as messages got sent to other people, which was illegal, yes. And he would frame them and put them in art installations. Have you ever heard of that guy?
I think so, actually. That sounds familiar.
He would get like photos of like a lone hot dog on a paper plate and frame it, and because he stole it from someone, sending it to someone else. And those are also kind of like no context photos and strange internet findings. Like, internet's a weird fucking place. Yes, it is. Yeah, he just frame it, throw it up, and be like, someone sent this to someone else. What is it? Why? Why did they send it? What does it mean? Why did this happen? And be like, yeah. I remember one of his personal favorite ones was a cop selfie. It was like a cop in a bathroom. He took a selfie of himself, and he was a cop like trying to look all cute. And apparently he just stole it right out of thin air. Some cop was sending it to someone.
Just like, trying to look cute in the
bathroom. I'm sure he's found a bunch of weird shit. You think about all the little photos you take in your life and you send to people that you never look at again to relay a quick message to them without having to type anything, or you're making a joke that's like an inside joke between you and that person. But if someone were to take that photo and put it in an art institute, would it make sense to anyone, and would it still retain its value? Those was like all the questions that I was asking. And I think it goes along with your beans, and I think it goes along with my no context photos, which are also sometimes called cursed images. Those are like the especially like creepy version of no context photos. But some people call them cursed images too, because they're just so stupid to look at. It's like painfully stupid.
In school, I did love my professors, because one of them like used to go in like Starbucks and like do that kind of stuff, be like seeing what other people are doing basically.
Oh yeah.
But he's like, here's how I do it, but also like don't do that.
Yeah.
That's illegal. Don't do that. That's wrong.
Yeah. Photography, I mean, is same with my photography teachers and whatnot, just the particular form I do. And trespassing is like a good part of the art. You're not supposed to trespass anywhere. Everyone's blatantly aware of that, but damn if you don't get some good photos out of trespassing. Abandoned buildings, there's whole scenes for just that. Abandoned places, and those are some of the best urban photographs that are taken, and you know, that spread at least between the common folk. I would love to do urban photography, but like I just don't have the resources. And there's whole groups of people, and they fucking all go together in parties and groups, and they share locations with each other, and they're cliques of urban explorers that trespass with their cameras.
I've like tried to go into this abandoned hospital for a shoot once. We like circled the place a ton. We looked like hella suspicious. I had this giant backpack on, and we didn't get in, but we tried, and
Dangerous,
it was painful.
Yeah,
it was on like a super busy road. I'm like, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, you gotta jump the fence.
The only way in was like a fire hose that was just like straight up. I'm like, I can't climb that. I'm not good.
Gotta be hardcore. Gotta be hardcore to get in there.
Hardcore.
This is another question I asked Dylan, and I don't know if it's going to become a reoccurring question or not, but what is the highest value expressed at the college through everything it does, through the people, through the content, through the environment? What is the highest value that the Art Institute
like what
embodies?
People appreciate the most?
What do they want from you? What do they want to be the pinnacle of that environment? What is their highest value? I mean, I feel like creativity might be a word, but maybe with your personal experience, you have something more nuanced than that. Maybe you can put it in a particular interesting context.
Like, honestly, like for me, I went in there like never creating a meaning for like any of my artworks, and in there it's like all about meaning and like, how did you get this? How did you get to this point? Explain this to me now.
Right.
And so like, if you have like meaning that like isn't blatant but like very effective, and like a style, I feel like
Subtle but hard-hitting.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, I mean, famous words is the best art is the most simple. The most simple art that conveys its meaning without being complex is the art that is most intelligible, most usually most pure, usually easiest to consume, and also the easiest to replicate. So yeah, I think you definitely hit that question right on the head, because I came up with the word creativity, and you came up with the word meaning, which is meaning behind the creativity, which is just a lot deeper than my answer. So I think you definitely hit that one right on the head. Hey?
Like for me, I always start with like a technique or like a skill that I have or like just discovered, or a medium. But like for people there, they mainly go off of like conceptual ideas first, and then they figure out how they're gonna like portray that with like what skills they have and resources that they have.
Huh. Well, that sounds like everything. We did a good amount of time here. I don't exactly know how long we went. Maybe definitely hour something. But I don't know. I guess we're kind of. Thank you so much for talking to me.
No problem.
Thank you for telling me about the Art Institute, and maybe have you on again. I definitely see you here and there. So, thank you very much. Anything you want to say before I cut the audio?
No, I think that's about it.
Any words for people who might watch this and who are considering going to, say it again?
The School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
The School, the Art Institute of Chicago?
The School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Okay, the School of the Art. I want to say the School of the Art of the Chicago Institute. I'm never going to get it. I just give up. Anything you want to say to those people?
Basically try to be motivated by other people's like personas or like inspirations, but like also know that they are suffering hard as well.
Yeah, that sounds like college. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.